Good evening. It says I am live, finally. Welcome to Restore with Nikki. I got my wrong side, backdrop up. At least that's something. Hello, welcome to Restore Belief with Nikki. I'm Nikki. Let me get situated here. Okay, so today is talking about, hey Amy, hi Drew, positivity and hopefully how you can create it. Okay, sorry guys, I'm just, no timber. Hang on, 1 second. Oh, that's not good. Thank God it had a lid on. When your tea decides to take a flying leap, ouch. That's not good. I guess that's gonna go over there. So, anyhow, that's not nice, buddy. Trying to get comfortable. Sorry, guys. Okay. Anyhow, I'm just gonna call this business. I hope you're doing well. So, positivity. Sometimes it can be a very difficult thing to do and achieve. Very important in one's life, especially if you've got a lot of shit going on. Kind of lost my train of thought because of that glass taking a flying leap. Anyway, how can you create positivity if you've got a lot of garbage going on in your life? Or it's very difficult to do. It is doable. It is possible. There are different things that can be done, such as working on your own energy, shifting your frequency. And shifting frequency we talked about last week, which can be anything as simple as cleaning the inside of your home, to rearranging furniture, to rearranging drawers in a dresser drawer. Couldn't think of what the heck it was called, which is what's behind this thing. A glass took a flying leap. Now that is a reason for positivity alone. Yeah, thank God it had a lid on it. So it's just kind of part and parcel to how my life has been lately. Okay, hang on. If I'm going to get to talking, and I never know how long I'm going to last on these lives. They could be anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours to 3 hours. So depends on the subjects we hit. Okay, so simple little things. If you've got soap, okay, anything that can create a modicum, a very small amount of positivity, things that create moments or seconds of joy. Those are the kinds of things that are very important. So you see, where are you? This angel right here. I don't know how far up can you see. All right. So that crocheted angel is one of my forms of positivity. That angel, it reminds me of different happier times. So for me, it's things like that. Little things that give you a glimmer of hope, little things that create the air of positivity around you, things that you look at and you either do a sigh or a sigh of relief, or just smile at. Those are the simplistic things. Those are the very easy, simplistic things. So I put my little angel up there. There's a couple of other things, although I don't have my other things up. I've got a hat that I have up on the top shelf. It's a summer hat that I use. It creates a lot of happiness and joy for me. It's something that I treated myself to while I was on a trip, and I don't typically treat myself to things when I'm on a trip. A lot of people do, but I'm not one to where it's got to be something I really want. Like I'm very simplistic and things like that. Gemstones, that's another thing. That's a totally different subject. If I spot gemstones that are really good quality and are calling to me, then that is a purchase that I will make. So there are things like that. Jewelry. This is something that I made for myself. I call it my chakra necklace because it's got different protection stones for me. And these, I blow through stones like it's going out of style. My energy is so strong and powerful that I typically shatter from the inside out stones. Protection stone, doesn't matter what kind of stone it is. Although I do have to say, diamonds, I have not been able to do that with. So, okay, sorry. Yeah, foot that's bugging me. So, those are things that I do for myself. Simple, easy items. So there are things that can be as simple as drawing a picture or just putting it up on a wall. Whether it's a stick figure. Hey Joe, it's good to see you, dear. Turn me up. So basically, there are little things that can be done, whether it's a hand lotion that, or a face cream. I know women that not too long ago made comment to me about, oh my God, I never used to use face cream, and now I do, and it's the scent that draws me, besides what it does for my skin. That though, for some people, those are luxuries. For others, that's a way of their positivity. That is how they bring positivity in. These are what I'm talking about right now are very simplistic things. I'm not talking the big elaborate gestures, the big elaborate things that one does for oneself. I'm talking about the simplistic things right now, because that is where I have noticed people are having some problems with doing the simplistic things for themselves, or they're getting set up to where they're doing their daily, very busy, very active lives, and things are not jiving for them. It's because they're too busy. They're not taking the time to notice. So in that regards, that's where you have to come in and deep breath of air in through the nose, out through the mouth. There is a big difference and a big deal in how you do breathing. It sounds ridiculous to a lot of people, I know, but it is. Look it up. There's a science behind it. As I always say, and has become a pattern, do your own research. So that all said, there are different things that you can do for positivity for yourself, whether that is in whatever subject, whether that's in your religion, whether that's in whatever community you're in, whether it's a home community, whether it's ufology or paranormal or just daily typical stuff where you're at work. Find the little things. I've got here's another little positivity. I have a mug that my mother gave me for my birthday years ago. Okay? This is a mug. I don't know where the heck she got it, but it's a very sweet, loving little mug. It's got little cherubs on it, and it's got a heart between the cherubs. Well, I've got something in this. I can't read the bottom right now, but that is a hi, Christine. So yeah, there are things that if I want some positivity around me, things that I treasure. So you do that for yourself. Something else that I treasure, a product. Now this is a product placement, but a product, I don't know if I can do this right now. I don't have the fingernails right now. But a product placement, things that I dearly love. Lip balm. Really good quality lip balm that isn't toxic. That is because hello, art to me that this is my version, okay? Non-toxic. Our skin is our biggest organ, and I got a lot of skin, baby. So, I want, if I'm going to put stuff on me, then I want it to be as natural as possible. And this stuff it's called Adama Minerals. And I may be mispronouncing this, but it's hydrating lip balm. This one is Sunset Mango. But my point is that you find different things that work for you that create positivity. The scent for me is a really big deal. And part of that is because of my psychic abilities or my abilities or whatever you want to call them. So certain things with scent make it a big deal. Christine, I agree. I love lip balm in every corner of my existence. My purse, near my bed. Yeah, that's how I am too. I've got one near my bed. I've got one in my purse and one in my bag that's on the front, usually on the front of me. I never started wearing that until I had to because of my back injury and not being able to access my purse because I can't wear a regular purse anymore. So, and then one in the bathroom, one near my living room chair. I mean, I've got them all over the place. So, I don't know, that sounds really bad, but I make sure that if it's something that I really need, I will splurge. That to me is a splurge. If I splurge on it, it's a really big deal. It's that important to me to have certain things. That's like the lotion that I use. There's a scent and a quality to certain lotions. So people don't think about these things. They do make a difference. And because, in my opinion, the skin is the biggest organ in the body, what if I'm going to put something in my mouth and have it go through my body, blood and digestion tract and all of that, then I want it organic or as close to it as possible. And I want the same for my skin. So those are things that I do for myself that are forms of positivity. Okay. It's not just me taking care of myself. Those are forms of actual positivity, making small changes, because when you make small changes, folks, in the long run, and you do that over what I think if memory serves me correctly, I think it's if you can continue to do an activity for more than 90 days. Somebody's going to have to do the science look on it because I don't remember the exact number, but I think it's 90 days. If you can consistently do something for 90 days, it can potentially make a significant difference in your life on a regular basis. And that usually means you can get through a long haul. Now, for me, there's only one subject that I've got a lock on that doesn't work for me. And it's because of certain things that had to be done for me medically. So I've got a 1.5 year lock that I'm working on trying to break that lock so that I can get through that 1.5 year and make it into 2 years and then consistently do this one specific pattern thing that I do. So you have to know yourself well enough to know that. And I make those consistent daily changes in everything else except for this one item. I hit a 1.5, and my body always knows when the 1.5 year mark is, whether I recognize it or not. Hello, Robert. Robert says, because not everywhere have the same items in the world. Exactly. That's exactly it in a nutshell. I could make jewelry out of what I eat. Christine, surrounding ourselves with things that bring us joy, beauty, even the small changes do add up. Yes, they do. Yeah, and that's where Amy just commented on day 92 or 93, full on collapse of any pattern. That's where you've got to break that pattern of the collapse. And that's what I'm working on trying to do in my life. That's my goal. That's my personal goal. It's not a private goal now because I just made it public, but I'm just not saying what it is. But my point is that if you can break through that cycle, that pattern that you've got beyond the 90 days. So if you've got a 92-day mark or 93-day mark, break through that. Make sure that you're consistent with the breaking through. And that, boy, I'm here to tell you, it takes diligent effort. And it is not easy, but it is achievable in different forms. So now, if it's a money thing, that's a different story. That's a big different story, and I'm not the one to talk to on that one. But though I used to teach kids in how to manage and budget and all this other stuff, and two of them still come to me and go, okay, I need to talk to you about that, and we'll have a conversation. Because it's all basic stuff. But yeah, you have to do these basic little things to create the shift. That shift helps create a balance and helps build more positivity. Also, the other side of this, well, not the other side, but another side of this, I should say, is what are you doing in way of lighting? Right now, I have a light on that is very shiny, very bright. It is a daylight light bulb. I use it because, well, number one, I kind of have to because of doing these live streams. But what I have learned living in Washington State, where a lot of people have SAD, seasonal affective disorder, or something thereabouts, because of wintertime, not enough daylight. One of the things that I typically use in the wintertime is a daylight light bulb. That for me brings a point of positivity and light for me. Now, for somebody else who is out and about a lot more, much more active than I am, um, they're going, they will still have issues, but it might be an idea to think about having something like that after you get home from work, have it on for an hour, and an extra hour, and before you go to bed. Well, preferably you want to shut those lights off 2 hours before you go to bed because they can really, really affect because they are a true daylight light bulb. They're designed for plants and creating sunlight effects on plants. It's almost like tricking the plant into thinking that it's got sunlight. But that's what it does for the eyes, for the human eyes, is that, and do your own research into this. I'm not a scientist in this. I'm not a medical doctor. Do your own research. But I'm giving you ideas of things that can be done because you do not want to stay in a dark environment. If you're in a dark environment 24/7, or an environment where you're not getting a certain amount of light into your eyes, specific kind of daylight into your eyes, it will affect your brain. It will affect your body. Do your own research. Talk to your own medical doctor, medical team, for that matter. If you've got a team, talk to them about that. Find out what your vitamin D levels. That's the other aspect of it. So that's all medical stuff, but I'm just giving ideas. This is only educational purposes. So, do your own thing. Find what works for you. Other ways of creating positivity are finding things that you enjoy. Okay. Um, if you are not a creative person, get into something that might get your creative juices flowing, so to speak. Something that gets you out of your rote patterned behavior. Do something that helps trigger creativity in you. For some that can be very difficult to do. For others, it can be very simple and easy to do. So it just depends on where you're at, how your body functions, how your brain functions. Um, Amy says, hints to the wise, if you are seasonally affected, move where it is sunny and stay out of the Pacific Northwest, Northeast corridor, etc. In some ways, I would agree with that. In other ways, I disagree with that. I know a lot of people who love it here in Washington and who are very active. But one of the things that they do is they make sure that they've got, and if they know about SAD, seasonal affective disorder, then they literally use daylight light bulbs in their living room, their bedrooms, or their kitchens, and they have it on. There's a woman I used to know, she'd set a timer after she got home from work. She'd have it on for an hour. Hey, Drew, I'm glad to see you back, dear. She'd have it on, put it on for an hour, set the alarm for an hour, turn it on, and once it, and that's what worked for her. I know others that spent more time outside, um, a lot more time outside because they are very, very much into the uh, forest and being at the beach and that kind of things. And Washington has a lot of beaches. So I mean, it just depends on, like for me, I can't handle. I There are certain states I don't ever want to go to again. And it's the hot, dry ones that's just not my thing. Hot, dry, arid sand, and that's not for me. But I know I have friends who that's where they want to be because it is above 70. Was it above 7? I had to think about that a second. Above 76 all year round, or it's in the hundreds, and they just love that kind of stuff. That's not my cup of tea. So it just, everybody does something different and works very differently in how they function. Um, Matter of fact, I've got two friends who moved out of the country, out of the United States, and they're happy campers. So it's, you got to do what you do. Um, yeah, I mean, everybody is so different, and it's shocking to me with the friends that moved how much warmth they really require. And everybody's different. They were they were able to make those moves. That's a big difference. That's a big deal, and I'm very proud of them for doing what they did. That is not an easy move by any stretch of the imagination. Setting up for it, doing the move itself, and getting situated in another country. So kudos, folks. You've done beautifully. No matter what anybody else thinks, I honestly, you've done beautifully. So, but you've got to find, and that was their way of talk about positivity. That was their way of positivity. They wanted to be elsewhere. And, you know, trying to think of there's a lot of other things that you can do just for, I mean, the little things, even in your vehicle, if you're driving to and from work, find something that is not going to get your car broken into, but that you can put where you see it on a regular basis that's going to bring a smile to your face. If that means taking adhesive tape and a double-sided adhesive tape and sticking it somewhere on your dashboard, that or on your oh my god, I can't think of the word, steering wheel. I mean, there are things that I've known people to where they put a little they have a, oh god, you write on it and you can erase off of it as well, with pencil, and they put a little sticky pad, um, and have a pencil near them, and when they're at a stoplight, they'll write on it, or because that's how they it's the only way that works for them. I've known those people that do that, specifically this one person, they'll put a heart on it because it's something that builds them up. So you've got to find music, binaural beats, frequencies. It's interesting that a show last night talked about what were things that people dislike in the community, in the ufology community, and one of the kind of cracked me up. Somebody had commented about frequencies. They don't like the word frequencies or frequency, and I get that. A lot of people talk about it, and a lot of others are like, well, what the hell is that? How does that make a difference? Well, what you're doing, frequency is energy. Look into Tesla. Tesla was very into energy. He was very, very into energy, and frequencies, and collecting energy out of thin air, basically. Using all I hear right now is Tesla coils. But anyway, and thank you for whoever said that. So there are things that we can do. It's literally shifting energies, finding those things that can do that. I've got bells around my entire apartment, in very specific locations in every room. And one of the things, when I recognize that I need a shift, I will click one of the bells, and it's got a little clacker on the inside, and it will ring the bell. And the sound of that bell, and these are metal bells, okay? These are well, the ones that I've got, they're brass bells, and they're large. And I inherited them from family, and so I treasure them. Those are things that create joy for me and create moments of happiness. And so when I'm in a room, if I'm recognizing I'm not okay, I will walk up to those bells and I'll pop it once with a fingertip, or actually rattle it, and it creates a sound, a tone. There are very specific sounds and tones that can literally change how you feel. It can emotionally feel. It can change the vibration in the room. You know, when you throw a pebble into a pond, into a still pond, and it creates that spiral ripple effect coming out all the way out? Well, that's what sound does for our human body. So there are things such as that can shift frequencies. They can shift energy in the room. And that shifting of that energy creates positivity. It literally boosts your soul. And it can help with your soul cord, and it can shift the frequency that way. Other things, simplistic stuff. Get your hands in soil. And I'm not talking potting soil, folks. I'm talking in the ground, or soil that has been put from the ground into containers. Those are the kinds of things that can make a difference, because you're working your hands in the soil. These are just, like I said, these are simplistic ways. Do something to change things up. If you have a cat, I don't know why I'm thinking of this, but I'm seeing a cat. Actually, I'm seeing a white cat with interesting markings I've never seen before in my head right now. But a white so if you've got a cat, find a fun collar to put on them if that cat wears collars all the time. Or if you're having a problem with the cat, you might want to put a bell on the cat. I've known people to do that. I know other people that are like, no, 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 we're not going to do that. But they do find other ways. I had a cat. Here's an interesting little thing. I had a cat who learned how to get our attention, get our family's attention when he wanted to go out. We did not have an animal door, doggy door, cat door, whatever you want to call it. And he learned that pouncing on the bells that I had around the house would get our attention, and then he could go out to use the bathroom. So we never had a litter box inside. Well, I can't say that. We did have a litter box. Now that I think about it, we did have a litter box inside. But he mostly went outside and used the yard. But the point being, folks, is that do something to change things up. If it's a hairstyle, change up your hairstyle. I've had this one. It needs to be cut again. It's driving me nuts. But change up your hairstyle. Right now, mine is long enough to where I could do a very short French braid. It's much longer than I like. So that's something that I could do for myself. French braid is easy to do if you've got the shoulders. I don't have the shoulders, so it's really kind of difficult for me. So, but those are things that you can do. Ponytails to where they don't kill your head, which is one of the reasons why I went to French braids back in the day, because ponytails hurt my head. They would always cause headaches. Didn't matter. I had such long hair back in the day that it didn't matter where the ponytail was on my head. It would cause this pulling sensation and my scalp. I hated it. So I learned to do French braids. It got my hair out of my face. It got me to do all this other stuff. And I ended up teaching myself how to do it. Now, if you know how to do a braid, it's when you're doing it up above on your head, it's literally doing it in reverse. So you have to figure that out for yourself. But there are different things that you can do in that way. That can be a change for your physicality, for your physical body. Wearing something if you've got long hair, wearing a rubber band around your wrist, like a hair tie. That can actually be conducive to other things. Tapping. I was hoping I was going to remember this. Tapping. Finding little pressure points on the body. Tapping. I did tapping this afternoon because I had sinus pressure. And I was like, where the hell is the sinus pressure coming from? And all of a sudden, I did tapping on my forehead, on my face, in different locations. You have to do your own research, folks, on this. And that helped, but not enough. And then I went, oh, that's right. We got lymph systems. So if you go in and massage your armpit and going up your arm and back down again into your armpit and down into the chest wall a bit, you can actually release mucus out of your sinuses because you're releasing, you're massaging the lymphatic system in your armpits, and it will literally release stuff in your head, in the rest of your body. Those are, now like I said, you have to do your own research. Look into tapping, look into lymphatic drainage. That is what helped me. I mean, I didn't have to take anything until later in the day when I was like, okay, I'm going to be having this for dinner. That means that I'm going to need to be sure to take this product. So I did end up taking a product later on, but I didn't do it. So I didn't do it early on. So you have those for me are positivity things that help me in my daily life create positivity for me. Um, Little tips and tricks, very simplistic things. It can even be as go for a walk. If you're not one to normally go for a walk, do a 5-minute walk around your property. Make sure you're doing that kind of thing for yourself. That changes energy up as well. It also can potentially change outlooks. Those are things. Okay, I'm missing some stuff. Robert saw similar with a golf ball hit across a frozen lake. Yeah. So I'm assuming you were talking about pebble in a pond. Or Fossick through dirt and rocks to find gemstones. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know somebody who the noise effect, yeah. I know somebody who went on a trip and they never anticipated you just reminded me of this, Robert. They're one to where they're a little on the regimented side, and they a number of years ago talked to me about where they were on a trip and they unexpectedly got a yen, and they followed it. They followed it, this gut intuition, and it led them to this location that just it opened up a whole door of positivity and different things for them. So, pay attention to what your gut is telling you. If you're having a work situation where it's just really difficult, one of the really old methods that people used to use is like the hair tie, and they do the snap of the hair tie on their skin to change behavior. That's old school. That's really old school. But it gets the mind into redoing and rethinking about things in a different way. That's a physical reaction. Noise effect, and then it's dry, clumpy, and clay-like. Yeah, I mean, there's different tips, tricks, and techniques. Everybody does something different. You have to find what works for you. There's so many. Sorry, guys. I'm one of those to where I'm very versatile. A lot of things work for me. But I know people that are so regimented. I was about to say, retentive, but they're so regimented in the things that they do that they're not able to get out of those. And that's the thing. If you're doing pattern after pattern after pattern on a day-to-day basis, the potentiality for being stuck is really high. And so you want to do things differently. You want to change things up, even if it's in small ways, and it stays in small ways on a consistent basis. So that's how you make changes. Now, when it comes to using all of those old patterns to help you change something up, and I'm going to use me as an example. So, like when I start going through my memories of more memories of the ET things, or more memories of the ETs with the soldiers, and I get angry, there are times I get into a pattern with myself in dealing with old things. old techniques that I used to be taught in how to deal with those emotions and how to deal with those things. And what I'm learning now is I have to change that up. I have to change up how I deal with it now, because certain things that I used to do no longer work. So that means that I have to find something, and I have find something that works for that situation so that I can better cope and better deal. It comes down to coping and coping mechanisms. What can you cope with, and what way can you put out positivity? It's not easy to do sometimes, folks. There are folks that are there are people that are really struggling, and it's really difficult for them to find. I've had a few people come to me in the last, I'm trying to think of how long, week to 2.5 weeks, and they're really having some difficult times. And a lot of times what I'm learning with them is that they've got to change things up. And it's not easy. It's not easy when you're going through and you're struggling. Um, they're living examples that you can change things up. These folks, I commend them. I highly commend them because they've made some significant changes in their lives. And granted, have found out that certain people are not exactly good people to be around, and they've made changes that way. So you've got to do what works in your best interest, what works for you medically, what works for you emotionally and spiritually, what works for your soul. Um, it's not easy. It is a learning process. This life is about a learning process. Um, Drew is representing ET, and he's going, "Hi, Nikki, I'm here to kidnap you." Yeah, that's exactly what the ETs do. The word abduct is another word for kidnap. So yeah, I understand that. Thank you. That put a smile on my face. Thank you, Drew. Amy, it's complex when you are sensitive to color, sounds, words. It would be nice. No, excuse me. It would be easier to change things when you are toughened like shoe leather, not as much. Like with the bell, you can tell that it lightens energy. You could bang on pots and pans and gong all day, and all it would be to me is a nuisance. Yeah, so you have to, so Amy, that's a really good point. You have to find what works for you. There are people where the bells aren't going to work. So you have to find something else that will work. Something that for you isn't going to be a nuisance. Okay, I gotta change up the legs. Sorry, it's the back and the body. Okay. So, and Drew is saying, yes, Amy, colors that seem simple seem different to others. Exactly. So like, I wasn't sure I was going to wear this today because I haven't worn it forever, and or at least not on camera. And I was like, I'm tired of blue right now, but blue is what we're going to wear today. So, it's just one of those things, but it's got little sparkles on it, and that's what brought light and positivity to my face. After I realized that it's got these little sparkles on them. I don't know if you can see them, but anyway, so they're sewn on in different sections. But anyway, so yeah, it's what works for one person is not going to work for another. You have to find what works for you. If you don't, the potentiality for staying stuck is really there. It's getting out of, that's what I talked about at the beginning of this. It's getting out of that same old rote pattern. And if you can do that, kudos to you. If you can't, then I highly recommend you look into things that help you to change things up, because staying stuck is not easy. It creates a lot of negativity. It literally builds up negativity around you. And that means that you're attracting negativity. Now, I know that for fact. To me, that is factual. I haven't seen documentation of it yet, but to me, that is factual to me. But the science of it, I'd like to see that proven. Robert says, "Don't get stuck in a rut." Exactly. If you get stuck in a rut, you're spinning your wheels. Literally spinning wheels in a road, and you don't go anywhere. That's not good. That's not mentally healthy. And when you make positive changes, you help build positive patterns for yourself in your mind and in your environment. That right there is a really big deal. That is science. You can actually, there's scientific evidence of that. I just don't remember where to look right now. Sorry, folks. Drew, even when Robert, pretty red, blue, green birds, they're not all the same colors. Exactly. Robert, I need bigger wheels. Yeah, Robert. Amy put a sticky note on dashboard or refrigerator. Love, laugh, live, and be happy. It would end up with a fist print in the fridge or dash. You got to find what works for you, Amy. Not everything's going to work. I mean, what works for somebody else is not going to work for you. So find something different. Bigger legs, says Drew. So, yeah, I mean, I know somebody, it just popped into my head. I know somebody that used to draw a square with a triangle on top. Well, to them, that represented a house. They wanted to go from apartment living to a house. They no longer wanted to be in apartment living. And so, that's the other thing that I've learned is that if you put post-it notes of what you want to change into positive words, positive potential, and post that around, then you literally can shift the way you think about things, because you're seeing it all over the place. You're seeing it in the kitchen, on a cabinet door, or on a refrigerator, or on a wall that you walk on, the hallway wall, or on a bathroom mirror, or above the toilet. I mean, just wherever. Amy says the common ones don't work. I'm assuming you mean for you, Amy. So by logic, it's going to be something uncommon. Okay. Robert says, or a hobbit, or a second Legolas. I hope I pronounced that right. I know who you mean. You're referring to Lord of the Rings, I believe. Legolas. I never knew how to pronounce his name right. Anyway, Drew is saying, now I'm taking. Yeah, that Drew is talking about taking a prescription medication for him, and it's helped with how he's seeing things differently now. So you've got to do what works. So you've got to find something that works, and I know folks that didn't do prescriptions for that and did other things, and it worked for them. So you got to find things that work for you. Talk to your doctor. If you've got a counselor, talk to your counselor about it. If you've got a psychiatrist, talk to your psychiatrist about it. Talk to your medical team. You got to find what works for you, folks. Not everything that is going to work on Amy's proving exactly that. Not everything that's going to work for me or Robert or Drew or Christine or anybody else that comes in to my chat. I mean, you got to find something different that works for you. So if this, and obviously if this isn't going to work for you, then don't do it. Find something different. I'm just shooting out all different kinds of options. And if my channel isn't one of them, then go somewhere else. I understand that. I get that. Though, let me know. That doesn't work for me, Nikki. Can you talk about this, or this? I actually had somebody do that, and which is one of the reasons why I talked a couple weeks ago about certain things. So, do what works for you. Do your research. If you are not doing your own research into this, hey, Tim, you're here lurking. Thank you. I appreciate you coming in, sir. If you're not doing the research, why? Is it not conducive to you? Or is it that you don't believe that you're worth it? There's a big difference. There's a mentality there. And that mentality, if you don't think you're worth it, that goes to self-worth. That goes into a whole other situation, and that goes into counseling terminology. So self-worth is a completely different ballgame than what I'm talking about here. So, and that's something a counselor is definitely you're gonna need to talk to a counselor about that. When there are some really good ones out there, and there's some really not so good ones out there. So be really picky and really choosy about who you see. Ask questions. You're there to interview them first time. If it doesn't feel right, don't stay with them. There are reasons why it isn't feeling right. You got to find somebody who's right for you. And thank God I did back in the day, because they helped me a lot. So I'm sorry, my knuckles on my toes are popping. They're bugging me. So anyway, but you've got to find what works for you, folks. Seriously. I come to think of it, I hadn't even thought of this until just now. Somebody used to blow a whistle. I used to know somebody where the sound of a whistle would actually trigger. They used to play. Oh God, what was it? I think it was soccer. They used to play a sports when they were in junior high. Hated something to the effect of they hated it in high school, didn't want anything to do with it. But basically, the sound of a whistle is what did it for them. I had a counselor tell me, why don't you try using blowing bubbles? Because the act of blowing, exhaling that air, it changed things up for them. It changed a frequency in them. And I was like, it worked for me. I mentioned it to somebody else, and they said the same thing. It opened up their lungs, and it did something with their brain. It changed something in their brain. Just the simple act of getting blowing bubbles from the dollar store. You can make your own blowing bubbles, by the way. But if you don't want to do that, it's taking dish soap and food grade glycerin, and I can't remember if it's rubbing alcohol or something else. I can't remember what else it is, but you mix those together with a little bit of warm water, and you can actually create your own. I'm not repeating that. Folks in comment. But you can actually create your own bubbles. Used to do this with my son and the neighborhood kids. I used to create a great big bucket of it. Used to get a little, what was it? It was like a 3-ounce container of glycerin, And I used to take some really cheap lemon scented dishwashing soap and throw that in and fill the bucket up with water. And I would take, back in the day, we had these 6-pack cans where they had the plastic rings. And I used to take zip ties or twist ties and tie them all together and put those in the water and put it on attach it to a rod. I used to unscrew the handle of a broom, and I used to attach those together, put it down, bring it back up, and just walk around, and it would create bubbles galore. And the kids, oh my God, they loved it. Even the cats loved it. Even the dog loved it. So, I mean, simple things like that can create joy. You can repattern your brain into positivity, from negativity into positivity. It takes work. It takes diligent effort, and you have to be wanting to do the effort. If you're not wanting to do the effort, try little changes in behavior and in patterning. But if you're so stuck, then that to me sounds like counseling is a really big option. And talking with your doctor and talking about the potentiality of depression or antidepressant meds and what works for you. Or your naturopath and what works for you. So, and if you don't have that, you might want to consider that. So, okay, homemade bubbles. Yeah, homemade bubbles. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about that right now. But yeah, I mean, you've got to shift the negative into the positive. And like I said, getting out and going for a walk. Change up your pattern of your walk. View different things so you're not stuck in the same route you always take. If it is the same route, then walk across the street. Take notice of flowers or trees or insects. I mean, if you are somebody who notices every little detail, take notice, make notes, because that's changing up a pattern. Stop and write notes. Don't stay stuck. Staying stuck really is detrimental to the human mentality and the spirit and the body and to the energy level. So you got to shift that, right? Drew, right turn, Clyde. Yeah, I know what you guys are talking about. Come back here, Liquor. I got some Gorilla Glue for your seat. I appreciate that, Drew. Thank you. If I know people, okay, here's something. I know people that are so staunch in their coffee drinking that they will not change up even one iota of like going from I cannot think of the words. It's not cream. It's specific kind of milk. It's not heavy whipping cream. It's a specific kind of milk out of a can. And I just can't think of the name of it right now. Sweetened condensed milk. And it really can make a difference if there are healthier things that you change things up with. I have my iced tea, and one of the things that I periodically do to change it up is add lime juice to it. Now, you wouldn't want to do that with coffee, but you might want to try instead of regular creamers, which are toxic. They are known to seriously affect the body and the brain. Look it up, do your medical research, talk to your doctors, talk to a nutritionist. That's who you really should talk to about that one, because they'll really tell you exactly what's in them, and how they affect the brain, and find different alternatives. Changing taste up can really significantly make a difference too. So those are all different things. Robert says if you boil the sweetened condensed milk, you get caramel. Yeah, you do. I've done that. Oh my God, it's wicked good. But it's also high sugar, very, very high sugar. And so if you're insulin resistant, I don't recommend that. But like I said, do your own research. I always talk about do your own research. There's reasons for it. Everything can be turned into positivity. Anything and everything can be turned into positivity. It's all in your perspective. It's how you view things. Well, I've got this is shit, this is shit, this is shit, and this is shit. Well, okay, so flip your script. How are you going to flip your script to turn that negative to positive? Well, okay, so I've got all of these. Those are not options to me. The only option is something that I don't like. But here's the thing. It is an option. You may not like it, but are there other aspects around it that can be done? Don't rule absolutely everything out as a negative. Are there things that can be turned into a positive or starting to be switched into a positive? I hope I'm making sense to you folks, because I'm getting all kinds of different kinds of chat in the chat room. So we all have our safety spaces. Yeah, says Drew. Homemade fudge and homemade caramel. Yeah, sister. Yeah, trying different foods. Exactly. Different foods either because you have to, or because you want to. I mean, that can that can make a significant difference. Christine says, "Oh my God, Nikki, we both said the S word at the exact same time." Yeah, I mean, it's your perspective. It's how you perceive things. That's what life is. Everybody has a very different perspective on life and how you live it. And what happens to you doesn't have to stay a negative. You can turn your negative and the shit that you're experiencing into some form of positivity, even if it's a minor form of it. It's difficult, but it can be done. You know, it's all upon how you look at things. And if you're always a negative, if you're always a negative Nelly, that doesn't do you any bit of good mentally at all. That can be really detrimental. So, it's pretty important to learn to shift things and change things up. Now, here's the other side. Do you have extreme amounts of movement in your life? Then maybe it's time to slow certain things down. That might be your shift and your change to positivity, getting you to slow down. One of the things that made me slow down was I ended up with a back injury in 2008. Boy, did that get me to slow down. I was constantly moving and going and shaking and doing things and getting shit done. Well, that first year really was a hell of an eye-opener to me. It really shook things up, and it was really hard to stay positive. It was really, really hard to stay positive when I was having problems simply standing up out of a chair and walking. I wasn't walking, I was shuffling because I couldn't lift my foot. I literally was sliding across the floor, and thank God at the time that this took place. See, this is where I say shift the negative to the positive. Thank God I had hardwood floors at the time and not rug. If I had had to do that across a rug, I would have been building up extreme static electricity and being shocked consistently on a regular basis, and it would have been much more painful to my body. As it was still bad. However, I'm very thankful and very grateful for the fact that we had hardwood floors in that house, because that allowed me to actually slide and glide my feet across the floor, because picking my foot up just even a fraction of an inch did me in. So it's all about how you view things. And if you have had a life where it's all been negativity, get your ass into counseling, because that's where the shift and the change will make it happen for you, or potentially happen. It's really difficult to do, but you are worth it. You have to allow yourself to acknowledge to yourself and to others that you are worth taking care of yourself. Christine, I dropped something and said, heard you say it too, same time, crazy. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. That's pretty disgusting, Amy. I'm not repeating that. Robert, every day they're shuffling. No becoming Thor. Yeah, I mean it's every day they're shuffling. It was a big deal, and it was how I got through it. And people were asking, "How are you getting through this? Because you're barely able to walk." It took me months just to be able to get down my stairs, to get to a car, to get into a vehicle, get in and out of a vehicle to go to a doctor. It was frightening. It was really, really frightening. And so you deal with it very, very carefully. I'm very thankful for the certain people that I had around at the time, because uh, bits and pieces I was able to have help during different aspects of it. So you do what you have to do for yourself. You do what you have to do to create and build the positivity in your life. Aiming for the repeat. The repeat of what, Amy? I do not understand. So basically, you do things that are going to work for you, that are going to work for your functionality, your mentality, your brain function. Are you autistic? Do you have ADHD? Are you dyslexic? Are you physically handicapped in some fashion or form? And so, it's all in your perspective. How much shit have you had in your life? And can you flip that script? That's what I talk about when I say flip the script. If you've got the negative or even semi-negative, and you're at a loss at how to get to the positive, flip the script. Change the patterns up. Stop making it a pattern. Work on the different things in your life, even if they're small things. Even if you're on the phone every day at work, because that's part of your job, find one word that works towards the positive and use that word in every conversation that you can. It will help not only your brain to retrain yourself, it will also help in how you're dealing with whoever it is you're talking to on a repeat basis at work. Find the commonality, find the repeat word that is going to work. Because when you repeat words over and over and over again, you're going to change things up. It will eventually work, but you've got to allow it. You've got to be open to change. If you're not open to change, then you're stuck. I had a really, really difficult time moving this time around. I've never had a difficult time moving. I've moved so many times in my life, but this time I had a really difficult time moving. Do I know why? Yeah. Was there anything I could actually do about it? No. However, that said, I had to change my mentality on it. I had to look at it different in order for me to change the negative to the positive. It was really tough for me to do. But I did it. Now, because I do not have my sewing machine is not working, I'm having to hand sew my curtains, and I'm having to hand sew. Those to me are all negatives because it takes me so effing long to deal with those things. My sewing machine, so the reason why I'm telling you this is because I am changing the dynamics of things. Am I still getting it worked on? Those projects worked on? Yes. Is it taking forever? Yes. Because I have a daily life. I have different physicalities every day. But I'm viewing it differently. Am I talking about it differently? Yeah, to some degree. Every once in a while, every once in a blue moon, I will get really frustrated. And the other side will get really frustrated with me. You need to have fun in your life. Well, I've been hearing this for weeks now. You need to have fun in your life. You need to do this. You need to do that. Okay. I have projects I want to do. Hey, Ange. Really glad to see you here. I have projects I want to do. I have projects that I want to get done. But because of the slowness of the process of daily life, of dealing with certain aspects of things, it's taking me longer. But am I still achieving? You better frickin' believe I am. Am I viewing things differently? In a lot of ways. Am I telling the other side they're going to have to cool their frickin' jets? Yes, they are. And yes, I am. But it still gets frustrating for me at times. But I'm still viewing things differently so that I can achieve, so that I can finish these things. That is a really, really big deal to me. I intend to have my bedroom curtains done. I intend to have all these other options done. Am I viewing it in a negative way? Bits and pieces. How am I describing it? Bits and pieces of negativity because I'm frustrated with it. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm working on it. It's eventually getting done. So flip your script. Flip your script. Find the things that work for you. You are the only one that can figure that out for yourself. If you can't figure it out for yourself, then talk to it with a trusted confidant. find somebody that can talk to you about it or will get it. Or maybe they have something that might work for you that you've not tried before that just might work for how you are mentally. Because everybody's different, baby. Everybody's different. Find what works for you. Quit bitching about it and find something that works for you. Hard to do sometimes, I know. On that note, we are at 8:18 p.m. Pacific time. So I don't know if you can hear, they're watching football in the other room. I don't know what's going on in the game, but it sounds interesting. Anyway, so find different things that work for you. You have to do what works for you, what works in your best interest. That's what this is all about. It's about you this time. Grand scheme, I'm just using me as examples because that is what seems to work for many. I need an example. Give me an example. What the hell are you talking about? I get that. I've gotten that a lot over the years. So figure out what works in your best interest, in the way your brain functions, in your physical ability. Figure out what works. It might mean that you have to, okay, here's something that just popped into my head. There are times, okay, now if you're got this on headphones, take your headphones off for a second, folks, because I'm going to make a loud noise. So it might mean that you have to clap. That can change. That literally can pop things for you. At least I gave you a warning. It's very loud. But there are times where if you make a loud clapping sound, you can actually, that's another way to shift energy by making a sound. The other way is by stimulating the vagus, VAGUS, vagus nerve. At least it wasn't the bell. Yeah, that bell was pretty intense. Yeah, and that's just exactly what I was going to say. Vibrational change humming. If you do the vagus nerve hum, you literally can register the vagus nerve in your body. You'll feel it. It does a complete different energy on the body, and wow. Yeah, I don't know what I did with my bell right now. I was going to say, well, it's not easily accessible at this second. Otherwise, I would do it. But yeah, actually, what I should do is one of the other bells. I should actually get those and do a different bell. Amy says, I was actually worried you were going to scream. After all, there is that book, quote, Finding Yourself by Screaming a Lot. I've never heard of the book. Actually, ouch. Actually, yeah, just by making a loud clapping sound or one loud clap or a couple of them. But the humming is actually what is really well known and scientifically known. Along with the tapping, along with, and that's the other thing. I do know that people do scream to shift energy because that is what works for them. One of the books that my mom used to read back in the 1980s had to do with Howling at the Moon. I don't remember the name of the book, but that was one of the big things in the 1980s was howling at the moon and being wolf-like. Well, when you howl, it's a form of that deep hum, but it's but it can be really low. and it can be guttural. And that's the other thing, is if you go guttural, you can actually change in your body. Because what is it doing? It's activating that vagus nerve. And when you activate that vagus nerve, it triggers a lot of things medically in the body. Yeah, see, Ange, I howl at the moon, and it's my dogs, they love it. And it's my dogs, they love it. Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that, why is Bernie Siegel? Bernie Siegel is an author that my mom used to love, and I cannot, there were a number of things that he used to write on that my mom used to just absolutely love. Yeah, Amy's saying, actually, one thing I recall from childhood, there were lower and wavering subharmonics in a scream that made them more interesting. Yeah, I mean, music, that's the thing. The body can produce sound, obviously, besides belches and gas. Um, and besides singing, you can actually trigger and activate the body. Mm, okay, Robert is saying that's Vegas, not Vegas, Vegas. Although howling in a casino might free up space at the poker machines. Oh my God, Robert. Oh, jeez. Let's see. Vegas, Vegas. There we go. That's the one I'm talking about. Vasovagal syncope episode equals fainting. Oh, Vegas with a. Yeah. Yeah, I believe that's how it's spelled. I could be mistaken. Let me double check just to be sure. Here we go. White screen. Vagus nerve. Let's see, did we spell it correctly? Da-dum-ba-dum-ba-dum-bum-bum. Ba-dum-ba-dum. Yep, I did. I spelt it correctly. Vagus. And there's quite a few articles on here. Quite a few. What it is, function, location, and condition by the clevelandclinic.org. That's the first one that popped up, but there's quite a few. The vagus nerve's crucial role in creating the human sense of mind, the brain-body connection, and the vagus nerve. First human vagus nerve recordings pinpoint cardiovascular signals. Yeah, I mean, do your own. Okay, get back into this. There we go. Do your own research. Look up the vagus nerve and what it does and how to activate it. Easy way is music, and by specifically you humming or doing other things. Look into acupressure points. Look into tapping. There are different things that can be done that you can do for yourself, but you have to do the research. Amy says, well, in general, I do prefer solitude, so anything I do to keep people away helps me be joyful as long as it doesn't cross a fine line that anyone calls the cops. Yeah, I understand that. Robert, give yourself regular neck and shoulder massages. Rub the soles of your feet in short strokes and do Yoga poses that help work out the kinks in your body. Yeah, that works too. Another thing that works is, now take your hand and put it over your heart. Whoa, hello. I just had my necklace break. Oh, that's interesting. Well, that's fun. The beads are going down into my bra. Woo! That's fun. Okay. Wow. Okay, so there's those. Hang on a second, guys. She's retrieving beads off of her shirt. Ah! Whoops. There's another one. No. Timber. Oh, wow. That really did break. The whole thing just took a flying leap. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the rest of them are in my bra. Well, there's a fancy that. I wonder what caused that. Anyhow. Okay, but did she save? I saved most of it. That's not bad. I get to remake it. Oh, add that to the list of things I get to do. And that's the negativity. The positive side is I get to play. And I love to play with beads, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, all I can think is Buck Rogers, beady. Oh God. Yeah. 30 to 45. Well, let's see. Amy, my personal space, no other person within about 100 to 150 feet, even if there are physical walls. Yeah, I understand that. I know people where they do better when they live with people, but the people have to be in different sections of the house, have their own kitchen, their own bathroom. It's a complete two separate wings of a house. I know people that do that. I've known married couples that do that. One person has one level of the house and another person has another level of the house, and they're still married, and that's how they like it. They have their own bedrooms, their own everything, and that's what works for them. Communal area is a mutual living room. And I couldn't think of the washer dryer unit, laundry room. I couldn't think of what the word it's called. 30 to 45 meters for the metric folk. I couldn't think of Buck Rogers, beady. Yeah. So I mean, you do what you got to. And since that came apart, I am actually going to put this around my wrist so that I am still wearing it. There are reasons why I was wearing this today. There we go. So, and I'm making it a positive. So I'm working what works for me. And that looks weird, but that's the only way that I can hold it. I've got both of them underneath one finger at the moment. Anyway, so like I said, you do what you can do for yourself, and what works for, there we go. What works for you. Speaking of what works for you, there we go. Check things out. Do your own research. Talk to your medical team if it's a form of depression. There are hotlines. I do not have any of the current hotlines. I used to be known as the Information League. I don't have any of that information anymore. So you have to do what is in your best interest, what makes sense to you, and what works for you. God, that's bizarre. The heck? Anyway, hello. Okay, now I get it. It's a hair. Okay, there we go. Anyhow, that's pretty much it. It's 8:32 p.m. I'm pretty much done. Remember to do some deep breathing. Remember, in through the nose, out through the mouth. I do agree with what Robert had talked about with get into yoga. I know somebody who does, they do a form of yoga, and then they also do the cords where you bounce. You're strapped in, and you've got two cords, and you bounce, and that releases energy because they're using the feet, the balls, or the balls of the feet, and they jump and bounce, and it's a form of exercise, but it helps them release a lot of negative energy out of their body. Um, so you have to do what works for you. Eventually, if my back will allow me and my weight will allow me, that is something that I would like to do for myself. Those are things that I very, very much. Yeah, Qui-Gon and trampolining is what Ange says. And Robert says, become the cannonball. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different levels, so many different things. You have to do what works for you. I used to want to, until up until I had my back injury in 2008, I used to want to skydive. Now I wouldn't dare dream of something like that. I also used to wanted to bungee jump. After no. That's a rebuilding of core muscles I'm not quite ready for yet. That will change and shift for me in the future, that much I know. So I don't know. That might end up maybe one day happening. But it's not happening in the next 5 to 6 years, so I know that. Anyway, find something, leave yourself with happiness and positivity. I got my screen up. Right there. There we go. It's an exact reverse. I got my screen up. So, yeah, Ange says mini trampolining is really good for the lymphatic system. Yes, it very much is. It's been known to help with a lot of drainage in the body. And that's become quite the popular method right now for a lot of folks is getting a very specific kind of mini trampoline. There are some wonderful ladies who are out in public. They're on social media. They're morbidly obese, and they are showing the mini trampolines and how it's working for them with exercise. And yeah, I fully agree. The mini trampolines are really good. So unfortunately my back will not will not tolerate that. So I've got to find something that works for me, and I've been working on it, been trying to find stuff. So gotta do what's in your best interest and what works for you. Drew, I was trying to listen to Vegas calming music earlier. Yeah, there's certain, if I can find them, I will post them, provided I remember. There are certain really good channels on YouTube regarding certain types of music. I might end up having to put them in the comment section instead of in the description box, because I never know how much space I actually have for typing in the description box. So we'll see what happens. Anyway. Yeah, Vegas. Ange just said I didn't know that there was music for Vegas calming. Yeah, there is. Like I said, if I can find it, I'll post it. But there's certain Ange. There is certain. I'm trying to remember what the heck it's called. There's certain frequency music, certain tones and hertz that actually work for it. But I don't remember what they are right now. So if I'm able to find it, I will post it. If I'm not, you'll know why I didn't post it. But yeah. Yes, that's who that's one of them, Drew. That's one of the ones that I sent to Drew. Oh, you two crack me up. Anyway, that's it, folks. I hope you have a good evening or rest of your day whenever it is that you are watching this. Please take very good care of yourself. And my condolences to those who. Oh, thank you, Robert. My condolences to those who have lost family in the states who have been really, really hard hit via the hurricane, and those who are still missing. Um, and if you're able to help find the right places to support, to get help to them. So my deepest and heartfelt condolences. So anyway, take very good care of yourself. Flip the script, change things from positive to negative. Oh, I reversed it. Change things from negative to positive. Oh, I don't know if I could clip that out or not. That's a first. I don't think I've ever done that before. I totally, wow, that, woo. Okay, cheeks are going bright red. Wow, that's not cool. Anyway, literally change your flip. Change. See, I'm all flustered now. Flip your script. Change everything from negative into positive. There we go. Oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Anyway, take very good care of yourselves, guys. Much love to you all. Bye.